So step 3 of the IRPAME process is planning. So we've covered so far ideas, relationships. Step 3 is planning. Planning is very important because what you want to do is brainstorm, get everything out of your head. It's important to recognize that any project that we want to accomplish, we are the masterminds behind it, and therefore planning often starts with the individual, and then it should continue with a group of individuals that have expertise. But of course, in the initial planning process, as we learned in relationships, you want to brainstorm who's going to help you, who are the experts you need at the table, and really just kind of starting to develop something that will work for you. If you've come up with the idea, you definitely have a plan sitting in your mind that you need to get down on paper. We also want to talk about looking at a planning process that's effective and works for the individual. A lot of times planning starts from within. What do I mean by that? We all have resources, ideas, knowledge, advisors that we've accumulated throughout the years. Some from reading, some from talking to other individuals, maybe your education, whether it's high school, community college, university, graduate level programs, or if you're just a library, you frequent the library and check out a lot of books and develop your knowledge that way. That's a very great way to develop your knowledge. So part of the planning process is going to be expanded or limited based on your fields of knowledge or your funds of knowledge, where you're acquiring information from. So the more open your mind, the more you explore things outside of your comfort zone, the better your planning will result, because you'll start to discover new things. The other thing about the planning process is you got to realize that it's not static. Once you have a plan, it should be alive, so you should be able to evolve with it. You should be able to come up with new steps, additional steps. Strategically, it's got to have a solid foundation, but it should be adaptable and be able to evolve depending on where you're taking the plan or the project. You'll also want to incorporate the last step of the IRPAME process with it, which is evaluation. So you'll want to kind of look at what your target and your plan is, and in the evaluation process, I actually have you, the IRPAME Idea Book user, write down what's going to look like, sound like, and feel like once you've executed your plan. In other words, what's success going to look like, sound like, and feel like. And it's very important to start identifying that, because once we identify our why, our purpose, our outcome that we're looking for, then it's easier to work our way backwards to say, okay, if I want to get there, these are the steps I need to take. Versus having a general idea of what our outcome should look like, and then being walking in a general direction. We want to try to be as specific as possible, but like I said earlier, remain adaptable. So our master plan is very important. Empower yourself to not be afraid to start to develop the brainstorm initially, and develop a set of steps, rules, things that you're going to follow in order to accomplish your plan. I also want to mention briefly, advisors. I talked about having knowledge that we draw from. So advisors are very important. So again, networking is going to be very important. You're going to want to start networking with people that you want to pull from their knowledge or expertise. And that's where books come in. You can pull a lot of information and resources from books, and often you get a lot of good information compact into a few hours or a couple days of reading, simply because when someone prepares a book, they're actually digesting a lot of information into the shortest amount of space possible for you to intake the information in a knowledgeable way. So I'd encourage everyone to read some books, at least 2 or 3 in the subject or topic of your idea or your plan, so that way you can advance it along and it'll contribute to your planning process. Stay tuned for the next video on action.